Good morning, 7th grade. Let's see here. I'm making this video for Tuesday. It's actually Monday. I'm very sorry. I am totally messed up as far as days go. I just got done grading stuff that was turned in on Friday. It's Monday, and I'm making a video for Tuesday. Anyway, so today is Tuesday. So today you'll do Simple Solution 64. You'll check Simple Solutions. You'll take the open book quiz. Then you will read 15.2 and like half of 15.3. Then tomorrow you'll finish 15.3. Or if you want to, go ahead and read all of 15.3 today. I kind of leave that up to you. Chapter 15 is on England. So it starts all the way back at the beginning with 15. 15.1 starts back at the beginning of English history. And we talked about the Celts and the Druids, and then we talked about Julius Caesar coming in and invading, and then taking over the southern half of England for Rome. Then when Rome got invaded by the western tribes, you had the Angles and the Sacs that came in and settled, which is where we get England is from Angle land. Then we talked about other invaders coming in. At one time they were speaking French. Then 15.2, we pick up with 1154. In 1154, Henry II, a descendant of William the Conqueror, became king, and the Plantagenet line of kings began. They were called Plantagenet because the guy wore in his hat. Henry II was powerful on the European mainland. In addition to Normandy, he held land in France. Though he was only a vassal to the French king, he actually held more land than the French king did. He tried to get royal authority back. He strengthened the national army. Basically, he was a good guy. And a lot of the things that we enjoy now as trial by jury, stuff like that, he believed in that stuff. Then, when Henry died in 1189, he was succeeded by his son, Richard I. Now, this is going on at the same time that we got the Crusades going on. So Richard I is also known as the Lion-Hearted because of his love for the Crusades. And he spent actually more time at the Crusades fighting than he did being in England doing king stuff. And we've talked about Robin Hood before. Richard the Lion-Hearted was king during the time of Robin Hood. Richard's brother becomes king. Richard's brother is John. He's known as the most hated king. I mean, what a title for a king, is to be known as the most hated king in English history. King Philip II of France used John's bad behavior as an excuse to take more than half of the English king's mainland land in mainland Europe, including Normandy. So the English people are like, we got to do something. We hate this king, we need to do something. So you end up with the Magna Carta, which will have an influence on America, because it's because of the freedoms of the Magna Carta that we wanted to have the freedoms that we wanted as Americans. Then you end up with Parliament. John's son, Henry III, becomes King of England. He was a weak king, made lots of mistakes, so the nobles end up rebelling. Simon de Montfort took control of the government, and it called what is remembered as the first meeting of Parliament in 1265. Though de Montfort soon fell from power, his idea of Parliament planted the seed that would grow into representative government. So it's the 1200s with the Magna Carta and Simon de Montfort. We're beginning to see the idea of representative government and the idea that the king isn't above the laws. Henry III's son, Edward I, comes to throne in 1272. He wants to unite all of Great Britain into one kingdom. He managed to get Wales, but he couldn't get Scotland. He ends up with wars that are costly, but because of the Magna Carta, he can't put new taxes. Edward I included 2 representatives from each shire in Parliament and town. Beginning with Edward's Marlow Parliament of 1295, representative government became a regular feature of English government. Then we move forward into 15.3 and the 100 Years' War. Kings of France frequently clash with the kings of England. This is going to be an ongoing thing. England and France don't get along. They're going to fight with each other. And so you end up with the 100 Years' War, which actually lasted with a few interruptions for longer than 100 years. The English wins the battle. At the outset of the war, French knights could not match English soldiers armed with longbows. And so you'll go on and you'll read about the 100 Years' War. The main thing, what, Will?
I read about that, but I read a little about the battle. The French had crossbows.
Okay, we'll worry about that later.
Messing up their range.
Anyway, and that's, the 2 cents coming from behind me. Main thing, this is where you get Joan of Arc. Well-known, famous person from this time period. She was also known as the Maid of Orleans. And the French end up winning the war. Then you end up with the War of the Roses. England's defeat in the 100 Years' War was a blessing in disguise. With no significant amount of land on the European mainland, so now England can focus on the island of England. There is no more of this the French controlling some of the English and then the English controlling some of the French land. England's focused now on the mainland. So, the last Plantagenet king, Richard II, lost the throne during the 100 Years' War. War was going bad for England. There was no money. It was no time for an English king to play the tyrant, but Richard II did. When he seized the property of his powerful opponent, Henry, Duke of Lancaster, Henry rallied his discontented countrymen to his side and got rid of Richard. In his place, Henry of Lancaster became Henry IV, the King of England, and the Lancastrian dynasty began. The last Lancastrian king, Henry VI, went insane. Richard, Duke of York, now the most powerful man in England, began ruling on his behalf. But other members of the family wanted the power. So in 1455, the Yorks and the Lancasters became what was known as the War of the Roses. Which is because if you go back to what I read about the heraldry and that all these dudes are covered in complete armor, they've got to have something on their shield so that you can know who is who. The Yorks had a white rose and the Lancasters had a red rose. So it's known as the War of the Roses. The wars were essentially struggles between different groups of English nobles. The English people, especially the growing middle class, favored stability and order. They grew wary of selfish nobles who stopped at nothing to satisfy ambition and vengeance. England was ready for a strong king. The War of the Roses ended in 1485 with the Battle of Bosworth Field when Henry Tudor defeated Richard the York, and that begins the Tudor line of kings. Yeah, I need to make another. Okay, so today is Tuesday. So as I said, you'll do Simple Solution 64. You'll check Simple Solutions 4. You'll take your Simple Solutions quiz. You'll read 15.2 and half to all of 15.3. Tomorrow, you'll finish 15.3 on Wednesday, and you'll start reading 15.4. And basically kind of to give you a kind of a mindset here. Basically, I want you to get through 15.5 by the end of Friday. So you can kind of decide how to pace yourself. My videos will be going along with what I'm saying. So I'll make a video for 15.4 for Wednesday. But basically, by the end of Friday, you need to finish 15.5 to kind of give you an idea where we're going pacing-wise. So have a great rest of Tuesday, and I will see you tomorrow.
What did you